A puppy walks into the room, two big paws, unsteady steps, eyes still learning how the world works, and something inside certain people softens immediately. Their voice changes, their shoulders drop, their attention narrows until nothing else exists. Psychologists don't call this weakness. They call it attunement. People who love puppies aren't just reacting to cuteness. They're responding to something far deeper, something ancient, emotional, and quietly revealing about how their minds work. For people who love puppies, the reaction is automatic. Before logic steps in, their nervous system responds. Heart rate slows. Facial muscles relax. The brain releases oxytocin, the same chemical tied to bonding, trust, and emotional safety. But here's the key detail. This response doesn't come from wanting to care. It comes from recognizing vulnerability. Puppies are unguarded. They don't hide fear well. They don't mask excitement. Their needs are visible, honest, and immediate. And people who are drawn to puppies tend to be people whose brains are wired to notice emotional signals quickly. They read tone, posture, and small shifts in energy without trying. This is why many of them feel overwhelmed in loud or emotionally chaotic environments. Their sensitivity isn't selective, it's constant. They don't just love puppies, they feel the world intensely. Neuroscience shows that when puppy lovers look at young animals, the same brain regions activate as when parents look at infants. But most of these people aren't thinking about parenting. What they're responding to is responsibility without threat. A puppy needs care, but doesn't judge, needs attention, but doesn't criticize. Depends on you, but doesn't manipulate. For people who grew up needing to be emotionally aware, perhaps in households where moods shifted quickly, this dynamic feels strangely safe. They learned early how to soothe, protect, and anticipate needs. Puppies don't demand perfection. They reward presence. And for someone whose identity formed around being emotionally reliable, that's deeply comforting. Have you noticed how puppy lovers speak? Their voice softens. Their words slow down. They narrate emotions out loud. Are you scared? You're okay now. Did that surprise you? Psychologically, this isn't silliness. It's external, emotional processing. People who love puppies often have a strong internal emotional world. Talking out loud helps regulate it. When they speak to puppies, they're not projecting nonsense. They're practicing empathy in its purest form. Puppies don't interrupt. They don't rush. They don't invalidate feelings. For someone who values emotional safety, that silence is healing. Not all, but many people who deeply love puppies share a quiet psychological pattern. They learned early that gentleness mattered. Sometimes this comes from growing up around conflict. Sometimes from being the emotional glue in their family. Sometimes from feeling unseen themselves. Puppies represent something they once needed. Unconditional warmth, clear affection, safety without explanation. When they care for a puppy, they're not escaping adulthood. They're reconnecting with a version of themselves that felt safest when love was simple. This doesn't mean they're broken. It means they remember what emotional safety feels like and they value it deeply. There's a myth that people who adore puppies are overly emotional. Psychology suggests the opposite. They often have high emotional intelligence. They detect subtle shifts. They notice discomfort before it becomes visible. They respond before damage is done. This makes them excellent friends, but also exhausted ones. They care deeply, sometimes too quietly. They absorb stress, others ignore. They feel responsibility where others feel indifference. A puppy's world is honest and immediate. No hidden motives, no social games. For a sensitive mind, that simplicity is relief. Here's something rarely talked about. Many puppy lovers struggle with boundaries in human relationships, not because they don't have them, but because others often cross them. Puppies don't. Their needs are clear. Their affection is consistent. Their love doesn't come with emotional debt. Caring for a puppy allows these people to express nurturing instincts without fear of emotional exploitation. They can give freely without being drained. That's not weakness. That's wisdom shaped by experience. Watch a person who loves puppies after spending time with one. Their movements slow. Their breathing deepens. Their face holds a softness that wasn't there before. This isn't just happiness. It's nervous system regulation. For people who carry emotional vigilance, who are always scanning, anticipating, protecting puppies, create a rare state of rest. Not because nothing could go wrong, but because, for once, nothing needs to be defended. People who love puppies tend to value gentleness over dominance, feel responsible for emotional safety, trust, slowly, but deeply offer loyalty once bonded, protect the vulnerable, instinctively. They don't always seek attention, they don't always speak loudly, but when something fragile appears, they show up fully. Their love isn't loud, it's steady. So when someone melts at the sight of a puppy, don't dismiss it as childish or shallow. You're witnessing a nervous system that recognizes vulnerability and chooses care over control. A mind that finds meaning in protection, not power. A heart that remembers safety as something you give, not demand. And in a world that often rewards hardness, that kind of softness is not accidental. It's a form of quiet strength.